I'm Paul Hastings. I grew up in the Austin, Texas area. I was homeschooled my entire life. And when I was about 12 years old, I first became aware of the Texas Homeschool Coalition. My family joined as members, and then every 2 years we would go to the Texas State Capitol to lobby on issues that were relevant to homeschoolers. We called it the Capitol Days events that were put on by Texas Homeschool Coalition. So that's really kind of the first exposure I had to anything related to the legislative process, and that was made possible by the Texas Homeschool Coalition. So finally, when I was about age 21, president of the Texas Homeschool Coalition, Tim Lambert, he told me, hey man, we have our next session is about to start and we just need some help. We need someone boots on the ground in Austin. So I signed up for this thing and they were paying me $10 an hour. And so I'm showing up to the Capitol and I'm, talking to legislators about legislation and I'm following the bills and I'm analyzing stuff. And so the first week I spent 10 hours, the second week I spent 20, the third week I spent 30, and by the sixth week I was spending 60 hours a week working at the Capitol and making stuff get done. And I'm there for a year, and then pretty soon, the 2013 legislative session is about to kick into gear. And I could remember how, man, that last legislative session, I had worked 60 hours, it was just crazy. And so I had this thought, man, maybe I could get somebody to help me out. And so I just started reaching out to these different guys that I knew. And my pitch to them was like, guys, we're gonna come to the Austin Capitol, we're gonna live together, we're gonna breathe together, we're gonna work our tails off, and we're gonna get some stuff done. And I told them, we're not gonna pay you anything. You're not gonna get paid no money, but you're gonna get on the job, real life, hands-on experience, and you're gonna make these incredible memories with other guys, and you're gonna bond really closely. And we had the capacity now to do so much more than we'd ever done before. We killed more bills than we'd ever done before. We monitored more stuff than we'd ever done before. And we called ourselves the Texas Watchmen.
There are 4 primary things that the THSC Watchmen are responsible for. The first one is bill analysis. Over the course of the legislative session, there are usually about 6,000 bills that are filed, and our team will go through every single bill and analyze it to determine whether it impacts parental rights, whether it impacts families, or whether it impacts homeschooling in particular. The second thing that we do is testify on legislation. During my time on the Watchman team, I got to testify on 4 different bills in committee hearings before the legislature, which was such a cool experience. The third thing that we do is work with authors' offices on amendments to bills. If there's an issue that we identify in a bill that could negatively impact homeschooling or negatively impact families, we'll work with the author's office to fix that problem so that the bill can move forward in the legislative process. Or if there's an opportunity for a good amendment, we'll work with the author's office on that as well. And the fourth thing that we do is we work to advance our own legislation, and we got to work on 17 different bills, most of which dealt with child protective services reform.
As a Watchman, it was just so incredibly rewarding. These guys that I got to know, they became some of my very best friends. What I said 10 years ago has come true, that the legislation we would work on then would someday be the legislation that our families, our children would live underneath, and that's actually true today. It's a cool situation, and I have zero regrets about doing it. If I was given the chance to do it again, I would do it in a heartbeat.
One of the things that I think is really undervalued in the legislative world is how much the rules influence how the process works. I recently graduated from law school, and having been through the Watchman program and having done legislative work for so many years gave me a big head start when I started law school, because I already understood how the law works and how statutes are written, how to analyze different legal problems. And those are skills I wouldn't have had if I hadn't done the Watchman program.
We're looking for people of upstanding character. Character does count. There's a lot of politicians today who say these phrases like, oh, I'm a Christian first and a Republican second, and then they live these horrible personal lives and make terribly devastating decisions and have had affairs and have destroyed their families. Character really counts because God cares about what people do. He cares more about your soul than he cares about the state of Texas. He cares more about your individual soul than he cares about the legislation that's passed. But I would challenge you, maybe God would be pleased if you enrolled in the Watchman program this coming semester and worked for 5 months learning about life skills, learning about the legislative process, and actually making a difference in the lives of others.
Being on the Watchman team made me fall in love with the legislative process. It's what made me realize that I wanted to do legislative work, and what made me realize that I wanted to go to law school. I can really confidently say that the Watchman program made me the lawyer that I am today.